How are you going, guys? In this video, I'll be responding to a couple more comments. Are they negative? I don't really think any comment is negative these days. But look, sometimes people word things very harshly, and YouTube has a thing where they instantly block the comment. Certain triggering words. So yes, people can be very harsh with their wording, but to be honest, I don't view these as negative comments. I just view these as people expressing their opinion. Now, in some opinions people express, they give a really long, detailed explanation, which I love because then I can plead my case, counteract their points. But these two comments, which I'll put here, they're very short and brief, but I'm going to address them one by one, and I will have to assume a lot, especially in the first one, because it's not giving me enough information. And I've got them on my phone here because I can't literally see them right now. So this first one, according to your explanation, you did not understand this philosophy. You are still using the brain. They're referring to Advaita Vedanta, of course. And look, I'm trying to guess what they're saying. I think what they're saying is you don't understand it correctly and you don't feel what they're saying. You just somehow have some idea about it. Because this part about you're still using your brain, I'm thinking, well, how else are you meant to understand anything? Advaita Vedanta is heavily dependent on intellect, on reasoning. So how do I not use the brain? It doesn't. That's why I said I think what they're saying is I don't feel it's not clicking. Look, that's why I said please be detailed with your explanations. But look, what is Advaita Vedanta basically saying? If you're new to these teachings and you've somehow stumbled across this video, they're dealing with the only thing in reality that we can't question, that we can't debate about. What is that? Feeling we exist. We could be in a dream right now. We could be in a virtual reality. We could be a brain in a vat. We could be in the matrix. What we're experiencing can always be questioned, argued, challenged. It's always changing. The one thing we can't deny is we know we exist. If we were to say, I don't exist, we need to exist to say, I don't exist. So Advaita Vedanta is dealing with that, the feeling of existence. They're asking us to question that. We have so many assumptions. We assume we know who we are. We assume we know what the world is. But we need to remember all this was overlaid on top of us. All our conditioning, all our thinking that we take to be real and see reality through that lens in the end, don't we? And what is Advaita Vedanta basically doing? They're giving you something you've always had and removing something that was never there. And for this, I would like to bring in a story from Advaita Vedanta, the washerman and the donkey. In ancient India, there would be a washerman that would go from house to house. They'd load up the donkey, take your dirty clothes down to the river, wash them, load them back up on the donkey, return them back to you. So in this story, the washerman goes down to the river. He usually ties his donkey to a tree, does his washing, unties the donkey, he's on his way. But this day, for some reason, he forgets his rope. He takes the clothing down to the river, he's about to tie the donkey and goes, oh, I forgot the rope. What am I going to do now? If I don't tie this donkey to this tree, it's going to run off. Fortunately, as in many of these old stories, a wise man is walking down the road. They're always walking down the road in ancient India. The wise man says, washerman, it's all right. Just pretend to tie your donkey to the tree and then do your washing. The washerman's very hesitant. He's like, all right, I trust you. But if I lose this donkey, oh man, you're in trouble. But he pretends to tie the donkey to the tree, does the washing, keeps watching the donkey, realizes he's not moving. He's not moving. Oh, it worked. He's finished the washing, comes back to the donkey, tries to go on his way, gets on the donkey, tells it, come on, giddy up, let's go. It doesn't move. He thinks, well done, Guru. Yeah, he didn't run off, but now he can't move. The Guru says, settle down. Pretend to untie the donkey now. When he did, he pretended to untie him. The donkey started moving again. What's the whole point of this story? What they're saying is the teachings of Advaita Vedanta is telling us we're trapped in our concepts. We're trapped in our thinking, our conditioning. All Advaita Vedanta is doing is removing all this conditioning and concepts with Advaita Vedanta concepts, which ultimately they'll say, look, we're using these concepts to remove your old concepts, but then you need to discard both of these concepts. So how does this relate to the story I just told? They're basically saying we're trapped in our thinking, or apparently trapped. The donkey, when we pretended to tie it to the tree in this example, thought it was trapped. When we untied it, it thought it was free. They're saying this about ourselves. We think we're trapped in our concepts. We think the world is how it appears to be through our thinking. But this is an imaginary rope. The teachings of Advaita Vedanta remove this imaginary rope, and we're apparently free. But what they're saying is we've always been free. The feeling you exist is the only real thing we know and have ever known. I was going to make this a topic of a video, but it doesn't matter anymore. I was going to say how I tried to explain non-duality to my dog. And you know what he did? As I'm moving my arms around explaining non-duality, he sniffed my hand, realized there was no food, and walked off. So predictable. Why would I do this experiment? Because it was just to reinforce the fact all these ideas, spirituality, religion, life, philosophy, animals, trees, nature doesn't care about all this. They don't need philosophy, but they know what to do. Trees grow, animals live their life, they're born, they live, they die, they reproduce. Life knows what to do. We're a part of nature, but we've got all this thinking. We've got all these imaginary ropes tied around our head, thinking we're trapped, thinking our concepts are real. This is all I'm saying. This is why they say children are the most enlightened beings and animals, because they are pure being. From our point of view, they're a little kid. From their point of view, they're pure being. Have you looked into their eyes? They're just like this. Open. When they get a bit older, like us, our eyes turn like this to this. Because all of our concepts, no concepts? Concepts. I'm this, I'm that. I'm right, you're wrong. Oh, it's just, that's all they're saying. Remove all these concepts. So to get back to this initial comment, I think what he's saying is, I don't get the philosophy. I'm using my brain. Look, I can only work with what I've got. It is a bit confusing because all our concepts are in the brain. Advaita Vedanta is using the brain, using the intellect to remove these concepts. So if my explanation right now is confusing, it's because this comment wasn't clear. The second comment, what is it here? Talking about non-duality makes zero sense to me because talk itself is dual. Just enjoy your life in duality, knowing the alternative is non-dual, which, yes, is duality. I agree with this person. I was in that way of thinking for many years. When you get into these teachings, it dawns on you what they're saying. Reality is prior to language. Reality is beyond words. Reality is non-dual. Reality is undivided, which language apparently divides up into ideas, concepts, separation. So I did go through a phase of thinking, why even speak about this? It does make zero sense to me too, exactly what you're saying. But then I came to this other realization. If Brahman is truth, if Brahman is real, if Brahman is all there is, sitting in silence, saying this cannot be talked about, you're boxing yourself into a concept. Talking about it is a concept. Being in silence is a concept. Brahman is prior to all concepts, yet the fabric all concepts are made from. So whether you sit in silence or whether you talk about it, it is all being powered by the one source. Brahman is the source that allows us to sit in silence. Brahman is the source that allows us to talk about Brahman, which is ultimately beyond language, but is the fabric all language is made from, that all concepts are made from. Your atheistic thoughts, your religious thoughts. Brahman is powering reality. All the animals, trees, bugs, they don't need all this philosophy, like I mentioned earlier. But things are getting done. They don't believe they have free will. A tree doesn't go, I'm growing. Oh, I hope I grow really big lemons this year. Like if it's a lemon tree, of course. Oh, small lemons, I'm so inferior. They don't think, how do I grow? How big are my lemons? Am I the bigger tree? Am I the better tree? It doesn't. Nature's just happening. Brahman is experiencing Brahman. Everything is happening to consciousness, in consciousness, and is made from consciousness. Like whirlpools in an ocean. If Brahman was an ocean, we're all whirlpools appearing in Brahman, made of Brahman, experienced by Brahman. It's so beautiful. Reality is a paradox. It is the one appearing separate but never actually becoming it. This is why, yes, language is limited. Language is dualistic. But what are we going to do? We need to use language, don't we? We use language in everything else. Work, relationships. Don't box yourself into this. I can use language with everything else, but not this. I'm not disagreeing with you, the person that left this comment. You're right. But the thing is, reality is prior to all these concepts of talking and of silence. So I think I'll wrap up the video there, guys. These comments, it was hard because there's not much to go on. I had to assume a lot, didn't I? But in any case, I hope it helps, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, take care of yourselves, okay?